Weezer on the Morning Edge, Josh and Chuck.
Now, Weezer, of course, just announced a show. That's why we did them for the Old School Edge Song of the Day. It's Weezer and the Pixies together in March. All the details are at edgetulsa.com. Don't forget, if you dig on the Old School Edge Song of the Day, you got to be tuned into our show on Sunday mornings called Old School. All right, our lawyer pal is here with us, James Wirth. You can find out everything about him at makelaweasy.com. Good morning, James. How are you?
Good morning. Pretty good.
You are dressed impeccably, as always.
Always got to do that for the radio, right?
Yeah, you come in here, and Chuck's wearing his Tulsa shirt. I'm wearing.
Collar.
Oh, it does have a collar.
It has a collar.
For the first time all week, his shirt does have a collar. I think my shoes have holes in them. You were making fun of the fact that I don't tie my shoes on the way in, and you're
Just
dressed way better than us. Okay, let's just get off to a great start. Here we go. We have a lot of questions coming in. You can ask James any law question that you have on our Twitter at EdgeTulsa, or you can just call us up, 460-1045. All right, let's jump into it. My boyfriend and I split up about a month ago. We lived together, and he moved out. Parentheses, he cheated on me, so I kept the place. All right, good for you.
Right.
I have two questions for the lawyer. Should he have to help me with the rent as long as I'm locked into a lease? And do I have to, all in caps, return the stuff that he left here?
Yeah, the couple issues here that we'd want to know is, was he on the lease as well? Is she only on the lease? If she's on the lease and he's just staying with her, then she's going to be the only one liable on the lease. If they had an agreement independent of that lease that they would split it for a specific duration, then she might be able to try to enforce that herself, but I'd say it's somewhat unlikely. But the other thing that I'd really want to look into, and it's important in Oklahoma, is common law marriage. Because common law marriage does exist here. There's a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of popular beliefs that are wrong out there on that. So that's one that we answer for people all the time.
Okay, well, expand on that a little bit. Well, what are some of the things that people think that actually are not the case?
I get calls all the time where people are asking about common law marriage. I just got one the other day that was saying, I just researched it online, so I know this and that about common law marriage, and none of it was right.
How long do you have to be together for it to be considered a marriage?
That's one of the misconceptions. It has nothing to do with how long you're together.
It's not time.
Really?
It has nothing to do with whether you have a child or not, and that's the ones that we get the most. Is we've been living together 3 years and have a child. Obviously, we're common law. Doesn't work like that. It's all about whether there was a meeting of the minds to be married, and then that has to be proven by clear and convincing evidence. Most of that time, that is, did you hold yourselves out as married? Do you have a ring? Did you have some informal ceremony? Do your friends and family consider you to be married?
Hold on. There is a guy out there right now who's going, I have said all along I am not down with marriage, and he is just going, thank you, James. Thank you.
Yes.
You just saved me.
I entirely agree.
But two areas where you got to be very careful, and we see people running into trouble there, that's filing joint tax returns together, because that's telling the federal government you're married.
Yeah.
And the other one is, I need to get on my significant other's health insurance. Fine, here's this form, and that's an acknowledgement or an affidavit of common law marriage. You sign that, you're telling the world you're common law married as well.
Okay, so wait, sorry to cut you off, but I'm dying to know.
This is fascinating.
The part two of this question where she said, does she have to return all of his junk that he left at the house?
That can be complicated. I would want to know, are they pooling resources? If they're pooling their resources together to pay all of their bills, is this property really his, or is it each of theirs?
Right.
So there could be an issue that needs to go to mediation or small claims. At some point, you got to talk about, is it worth fighting over? So, talk with him, see if you can get something worked out by agreement. If the value of the property is high, if the lease is really expensive, then maybe contact an attorney about it.
All right, you can ask James Wirth, our lawyer pal, anything you want on Twitter at EdgeTulsa. You can also call us up, 460-1045. We're the Morning Edge.
21 Pilots on the Morning Edge, Josh and Chuck.
So here we are on a Thursday. It's when our pal James Wirth, the lawyer, comes in to answer all of your law questions. You can always hit us on Twitter at EdgeTulsa with any law question that you might have. This girl writes in, my daughter and I go to the park near our house almost every single night. We know a ton of people there who are always the same people week in and week out. My kid has been petting the same dog for I don't even know how long. She's petted the dog dozens of times. 2 nights ago, the dog snapped at her. It broke the skin, but thankfully wasn't bad. Can I do anything?
Yes, she probably can do something. Dog owners in Oklahoma need to know this is pretty much a strict liability state. So you are responsible for the actions of your dog. There's a statute that specifically provides for that, but there are 2 caveats to it. And one is that the person cannot have provoked the dog. If so, then there would be no liability. And the other one is that the person has to be has a lawful right to be where they were at the time they were bit. So if there's trespassing going on, or if you provoke the dog, there's not going to be a recovery. But otherwise, pet owners for dogs are strictly liable for the damage the dogs cause.
So if somebody comes up and says, "Can I pet your dog?" you should just say no. That's how I'm taking this.
You're running a risk, yeah.
Especially in like a public place like a park.
Yes.
Okay. All right. This guy writes in, I work in a machine shop here in Tulsa. I can't tell you what we make or it would give away where I work, and I don't want the boss to know I'm writing. The other day I clocked out for lunch, but I ate at the shop. While I was eating in the break room, the chair leg broke on the chair I was sitting in. Now, I will admit I'm overweight, but I'm not break-a-chair fat. I like this guy
That's
already.
Great. Yeah.
They say they won't help me with the bills for the chiropractor when I wrenched my back because I wasn't actually on the clock. What can I do?
Yeah, being on the clock is not necessarily the rule. First thing here, understand a chair broke. He doesn't have to prove negligence in workers' comp. You don't have to worry about negligence. It's somewhat strict liability as well. So it doesn't matter whether the chair was, defective. Doesn't matter whether, the employer was negligent in not replacing it when it was broken. None of that matters. What matters is whether he's within the scope of employment. And there have already been court cases that have decided this. And they say if you're on premise when you're having your lunch, that's going to be within the scope. So this is going to be a compensable injury. So he's going to need a workers' comp attorney. We handle lots of that. You can go to makelawEasy.com, submit your question there, and we can get it going for you.
So if Chuck fell over right now,
Right.
because of the chair, let's say.
I'm just saying.
Which, by the way, Chuck's chair does have one defective leg.
It does. And
so does the one I'm sitting in, I think.
And
so go ahead.
I don't feel like I'm a bigger guy, but I'm not chair breakable big.
No. You're
Right.
not break the chair fat.
Right.
But if he falls over right now, can he sue our company?
Potentially. I mean, it's
Don't fall over. The end.
Or
Yes.
fall over and you and I go sitting pretty.
Oh, you're going to cut me in?
I'm just saying.
All right, we need a lawyer. Do you know any good lawyers?
Two exceptions to workers' comp, though, horseplay. So you got to be careful about that.
All right.
And drug testing may be applicable if the injury is related to drug use. Not on the hook.
What about fraud? Is that okay?
No.
Oh, that's what I meant. Never mind. Okay, so more with James Wirth. You can find out everything about him if you got law questions. MakeLawEasy.com. We are the Morning Edge. New stuff out of Young the Giant right there. That's called Simplify off their latest album. It's Josh and Chuck on the Morning Edge, and today we have got our lawyer pal in here. His name is James Wirth, and you can find out everything about him at MakeLawEasy.com. You can always hit us with questions throughout the week, and we will ask James when he's up here at our Twitter at Edge Tulsa. This guy writes in, I got fired the other day. It was right after getting a new boss. Now, I've been a great employee. I have no write-ups. I've never been late, so on and so forth. The new boss said it, quote, wasn't a good fit, end quote. They have offered me no severance. They're trying to deny me unemployment. What can I do?
Yeah, in this case, Oklahoma is an at-will employment state. So I'd want to ask, do you have a contract? Most people don't have a contract with the duration in it. If that's not the case, there is no contract. It's at-will employment, so they can terminate you for any reason or no reason at all. But that gets us to the unemployment. In order to deny your unemployment benefits, they have to prove misconduct. So that's certainly something. We actually do a lot of unemployment cases. Most of the time it's okay for the employee to handle the first stage where they're submitting their information. If it comes back denied at that point, call an attorney because it's going to go for a telephone hearing, and that's the most significant opportunity you have to win your case. You're going to want an attorney at that time.
What happens if it's a he said, she said? The boss says this, I say this. There really is no evidence. I mean, it's not like he can go, hey, look, you were stealing from the company or anything like that. I got the paperwork right here. So it's more he said, she said. What do you do at that point?
If it's misconduct, the employer terminated him, then the burden of proof is on the employer. And we've been pretty good at getting a lot of information out and showing what the truth is at these telephone hearings.
There you go. So if this has ever happened to you, call up our pal, James Wirth. Go to his website, makelawEasy.com. We are the Morning Edge, Nirvana right now.